Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about hosting your website. This is going to be like a basic overview of how I host my website. So if you're interested, continue watching. So when I host my websites, when I first started, it was kind of like a daunting process. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just had to do a lot of research initially. So I think that's important. Like anything in development, anything in web development, anything in software development, you're going to have to research some things because you don't know all of the things. There's just no way that you can know them all. All right. So the first thing that you need to do when you are hosting your website, you're going to need a domain name. Now, when I was looking for a domain name, I basically purchased mine from the place that I hosted my website at. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But if you want like a cheaper option or just something that's like very quick and dry and dirty, you can use Google Domains, and you could try to search for a domain name that you would like, and then you can kind of go from there. This is a pretty good source. I've used this before for another project that I was working on for somebody. So if you really just want to just get started with finding a domain and you want to just check around to see maybe if Google Domains is cheaper or something like that, you might look into this. DreamHost is the one that I use. So this is the one that I've been rocking with for about like 5 or 6 years. I'm a fan because they haven't done me wrong and the price is pretty decent. So per year, and I could pay that 1 yearly fee and I'm done with it to the next year. And if I want to change, I could have that option to change. Or if I want to go month to month, I could do that as well. I just don't like a monthly bill, so I try to knock out everything at once. Here's where you can manage your domains here as well. As you can tell, I have a blog.tthompson account, of course, website. This is where I have my blog at. And what I did to get that blog was basically just hook up a WordPress plugin and I was able to use it. So it makes things super simple and things like that to do. So I would definitely check that out. And I also registered a domain through DreamHost. So again, if you are one of those types of people that just likes to go through one source, make sure whoever you choose, you are comfortable with the pricing of the domain and you're comfortable with the pricing of hosting your website. Okay. So let me tell you this quick little knowledge. Little nugget, I guess. When I very first started hosting my website, I used FTP, File Transfer Protocol. And what that meant is I would use FileZilla. I just downloaded one and I would just use FileZilla. And I'd be on here and I would type in my host, my username, my password, the port, and I would connect to that. And then it would let me be on my server for my actual website. Whoops, I don't know what's going on here because I don't use this anymore. But this is how I did it because I knew about FTP. I'd heard about it in school, so it was something that I was kind of familiar with. So I said, okay, that's the way. So I went ahead and did that option. So this is kind of going through a third-party source in order to get your files onto the server. So that's what you're doing when you're FTPing. You are initially going into the server, and at this point what we're doing is adding files to our server. So that's what we're doing in that case. And I didn't want to, a couple years ago I stopped FTPing because it kept having to update this FileZilla and I just wasn't for it. So I just completely kind of cut that out, but I wanted to show you that was an option. There's also a thing called SSHing. So if you look under any place that you want to host your website into and you do SSH, you can, and of course I visited this, I had set this up and I really don't use it anymore. It's not because it wasn't a great thing to do. It was just because it was easier for me to do it this third way that I'm about to tell you about. So, here you can go into the terminal. You can also here, if you have your website on GitHub, like I said, I don't know about other places that host, but specifically for DreamHost, if you have your website on GitHub, you can go to GitHub, get your link, and then automatically everything gets pushed over in here. And so that way when you make a change into GitHub, it's also making that change to your website, which is awesome. So that's an option to look at as well, but we're not going to look at that right now. what I do is I web FTP. What this is it's basically a dashboard where you can go in, log into your server the same way you would FTP, except it's via the web instead of a third-party application. And then you do the same thing. Like you can copy files over there. Let me show you. I'm going to click on it. Okay, so I've got to give it some information, so give me just 1 second. Up and running. So this is what happens when you first log into my website. So what I end up having is they kind of give you a tour. So if you need a tour, you can have that option. I don't really need that right now. What you're welcomed with is all of your domains and your subdomains that you have registered on this page. So I have a couple of subdomains. This one I was using for a project. I don't use this one anymore. So I have 2 that I'm actually actively using. And so with these, I'm able to then log into them via here, and then I could see them here as well, and I could add and update things too. So as you can see, if I just wanted to go to my main website, I can just click here, double click into it. There you go. And then once you double click into it, this is kind of where it starts out. So if you wanted to have your HTML file, your CSS file, let's say you have a file structure and that you put all your CSS in one file and you put it under the folder of CSS. Well, you can just copy all that over into here. You can copy everything from your website into here. Again, it's probably better practice. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but it's probably better practice to really use like GitHub for these things. But I think it's something to be noted that has a quick process when you're just trying to get something started and up and running. What you don't want to run into, these things, as far as like hosting a website, if you're really into coding and that's your focus, you don't want to get tripped up by having to go through loopholes and loopholes just to get your website hosted after you've coded it. That's a disappointment and you might get discouraged. So this is why I recommend something very quicker, very quicker. What? This is why I recommend something quick like this to get started with, because it gets you up and running. As you progress, you could start SSHing into your server and adding files that way and really playing around with things and seeing what way works best for you. But to just get things up and running, this is fine. It's no problem. Some people may frown upon it, but honestly, it's the easiest way to get things up and running if you're just starting out. Okay, so I have let's see. All right, here is well, this is old. I guess we could still use it. So here is and so you see I had a demos folder because I used to have demos on my website and now be bringing those back. I'm very excited to redo my website. I just need to find some actual good time to do it. And then I had files specifically related to a project. So stored those files. And then I had stuff like the actual page that you see when you first log into the file, and that's my HTML file. And then I had logos on my file, right? Like I had like the GitHub logo. Okay, now this is not good file practice, because what I would really do is create a new folder here and I'd say logos, and I'd drop this bad boy in here, and on my HTML I would make a link for logos/GitHub_logo. And honestly, this should be lowercase. This is an old website, so don't pay attention. This isn't how it looks now, FYI. So that's something that you can do. So if you wanted to kind of get it square on here or in your text editor, you can do that as well. Now, kill this. So now that you have like your folder structure, like I have one that says documents, and inside documents, it's going. I have my resume on here, because that's what I feature on my website. I have to where you can click and get a copy of my resume, which is awesome. I think you should have one if you don't. And you'll notice this one does not have a phone number on it. I specifically made one that doesn't have a phone number because it's on the web. You don't want everybody to be calling you, blowing up your phone. It's not cool. So the next thing I have in here is like the images, right? So, and this has like the different images that I've used on my website. If we wanted to get an idea of what I'm talking about like things like these. These look really out of line. I honestly don't like visiting my website because it looks really bad. This section looks bad. Oh, look at all these words. We'll talk about this in another video. I need to fix this. I cringe. But keep in mind that website was from probably like 6 to 8 months ago. So it's an old, outdated website. I know more now than I did then. So, whew. Scary. So like I said, if I wanted to, I could create a new folder there. Okay. New, and I could do new folder, and I could say CSS, right? And then, where's the folder at? Oh, there it is. So here's the folder. So it says, and it's good because it gives you these dates. So it says this is 3/25, which is today's date. So here's the folder, and if I wanted to, I could drag this file in here. Like so. And once it's kind of doing some magic up here. If you could see, it's very, very subtle, but it's happening. And then it gives you a notification down here. It says, hey, this file has been moved. And it's like, okay, cool. So if I want, now I can go, and sure enough, here is that file that I just had. However, I don't want to do that. So I can also do a move, and I could say, hey, I want to move this file into this folder. So it'll tell me, this is where I'm at, my main website, and I want to move this file into my main website's folder structure, or folder or directory, excuse me. So I could do that, and then I can just say okay, and it's gonna work. It's magic. It's gonna do its thing and move its files over, which is pretty awesome because somebody coded it to do this. So that's pretty cool. So now you see nothing in this CSS folder because I moved it. I'm going to go up one, and you remember I created this folder. Well, I don't really need it anymore because I have moved my CSS file, but I can't find it. It might be trying to catch up. It might be a little slow today. Okay, so here's my CSS file. You can see it's been updated last year sometime. Wow. So anyways, now I can take this folder. I don't need it anymore. Get rid of it so I can delete this. And it'll do its thing and it'll delete it. So this would be the easy way to do things. If you wanted to, I'll show you very quickly. If I had some files I wanted to drop in here, let's say I wanted to drop in this CSS file here, I can just drag it and drop it. Looks like it's uploading files to the server, and it's uploading one file at this point. And it's going, and as we learned from earlier, it might take a second. Here it goes. So here's that new file that I just added. So now I'm able to have access to this new file on this specific website because that's where I put it in at. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. All right. It's going. All right, cool. It's been deleted. Awesome. So once I'm done with that, I can log out. All right, so that's how I do it. I just drag and drop my files onto the server, and it's so simple, it's so quick, it's so easy. And then if I want to, I could also use my terminal and SSHN whenever I feel like it. So, but like I said, if you're really into that, I would research it specifically for the actual company that you're using to host your website, and look into that if that's something that you're interested in. But yeah, anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you next time in another one. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down below. I'm happy to answer them for you. I'd love to hear from you. And you have an awesome day. Bye.